So let me just give you one example of the reason why I didn't give them. Oh, I'm Amit from Bangladesh. Let me just give you one example of why I didn't give them access to my phone. So one survivor. So during my investigations to speak about sexual exploitation, the Islamic grooming gangs, one survivor sat me down, cameras on, and she said, "What I'm about to tell you now, Tommy, never leaves you." Okay, and we're recording. I said, "We're recording." She goes, "I just want you, it never leaves you. I'm just telling you this." I said, "Okay." And then she divulged certain information to me which I was totally unaware of about something else, which shocked me, yeah? But I gave her my word as a source of my information that would never leave me. Now, the police then want access to everything, yeah? And what I explained to the police is, in Telford, in Rotherham, in Rochdale, in Oldham, you, the police, were working with the gangs, hiding it for the gangs. You were getting rid of evidence. Like, for example, young girls brought their clothes in after being semen on, they handed it in, gave statements, the on went missing, all the evidence was gone. Yeah, this is fact. This is what the police were doing. So I said, so when I got interviewed, I said, "So you want me to give you access to this, that then gets put into a system that you and all your bent Muslim police officers or whatever police officers that are working with the gangs around the country have access to, but from survivors that have been failed by the police, the courts, everyone's failed them, and I've refused to fail them. I refuse to let you have access to this. I'm not giving you it." And for not giving them that is why I face prison for today. Yeah? But I've said to the girl, and she's been messaging me for weeks anyway. She's worried. I said I didn't give them access, but she's given a statement just to say that I gave all of these girls my word on certain things, and I shouldn't have to divulge my sources of information to the British state, which is what they want.
British activist Tommy Robinson says his looming court appearance is the price of keeping his word to a survivor. In a video message recorded before heading to court, Robinson detailed the moment he decided to defy police demands for access to his phone, a decision that could now see him imprisoned under counter-terrorism powers. According to Robinson, the woman shared information so disturbing that he promised never to reveal it. That promise, he said, put him on a collision course with the authorities. When officers later demanded full access to his mobile phone, including encrypted communications, he refused, arguing that handing it over would expose victims who had already been betrayed by the system. Robinson claims he is protecting confidential material collected during his investigations into grooming gangs in towns such as Telford, Rotherham, and Oldham. Scandals that rocked Britain over the past decade and exposed massive police and council failures to protect young girls. The confrontation raises difficult questions about journalistic privilege and the reach of national security law. Journalists in the UK are generally entitled to protect their sources, but those protections are not absolute when national security legislation is invoked. Robinson's case, then, sits at the uneasy intersection of press freedom, public trust, and police power. For his supporters, the issue is simple. A man is facing jail for keeping his word to victims who lost faith in the system. To his critics, Robinson is weaponizing genuine tragedies to cast himself as a martyr, inflaming social divisions while defying legitimate law enforcement. This is not the first time Robinson has positioned himself as a defender of truth against state power. From his contempt of court convictions to his clashes with tech platforms and politicians, his public persona is built on confrontation. Each prosecution, he argues, proves the establishment's determination to silence him.
Intelligence agencies back in 2023, just under 2 years ago, and the topic of that subject was China espionage and the inability of the intelligence agencies to provide security for the UK government. That was our own government criticising our own intelligence agencies. So this narrative, we've got to be really careful of, that these two young chaps that possibly were doing something they shouldn't, is a little bit like two children stealing a Mars bar from a corner shop. It really is quite not important at all compared to what is going on in the UK national service and security side, which is like Swiss cheese. It's full of holes.
So what is going on? Tell us, just enlighten us from your expertise on cybersecurity.
Well, look, the bottom line on it, Ben, is we've been playing the Cold War in the digital realm. Ever since the Cold War's never stopped, it just moved into the digital environment, and everything's connected on the internet, and everything is being swapped and exchanged left, right, and center using the same servers, the same compromised servers for our intelligence agencies, for our Home Office, for our Department of Defense, for the Ministry of Defense, for the NHS. You know, we're seeing cyber attacks every day. Marks and Spencer's, Jaguar Land Rover, Co-op, Harrods, the list goes on and on and on. And we are reliant on American technology giants. We own pretty much nothing. We're relying on everything, and assumptions are being made. So technology is our biggest challenge, and it's our biggest threat.
I mean, what the hell's wrong with us then? Why do we own nothing? Why haven't we got our own sort of cyber security defences? Just, I mean, for people that have no clue about this kind of stuff, just explain in layman's terms, Andrew, why we aren't equipped. I mean, what's wrong with us?
Yeah, I think if we go back to history and politics, around the Margaret Thatcher time, we were selling off and privatising everything, and a lot of the American companies were buying it up. You know, there's a great book out at the moment called The Vassal State, which is a really interesting read. And literally, if you think about how we're moving into a cashless society, we're using credit cards. Every credit card is owned by an American company. Every email you send is owned by an American technology company. Everything we do, every phone call, every email, every credit card we use is going to America. And America have had 1,000 Chinese spies that they've deported over the last 10 years or so. So this is nothing new. IP theft, Ben, in America is rated to be $600 billion a year. So honestly, these two young guys, as I say, they may have been up to no good, but it's the pea in the ocean compared to what's really going on.
Yeah. Okay, and just finally, Andrew, what do you make of the fact that the US is reportedly getting a bit tetchy with the UK, not just on the China situation, which is a bizarre scandal unraveling day by day. I mean, if you look at the Times newspaper tomorrow, there's a story saying that China was assured that Labour would progress the construction of this super embassy in London. The embassy, by the way, which has a mysterious basement, a mysterious lower floor. Let me just ask you on that. What's going on in that basement?
Well, look, embassies around the world are known to be spy gangs. It's as simple as that. Every embassy around the world is known to be literally a opportunity to spy on the country they're in. So the American government embassy here is the same as ours in Tel Aviv or wherever. The reality is that's what goes on. They're there to spy. And when something goes wrong, as you'll be aware, that they deport a number of the embassy officials because they've been caught red-handed. But no longer are the packets and clandestine meetings going on. This is all done electronically. So whatever's going on in the basement, I should think that they're most probably building servers and other things going on there to try and ring fence and air gap their communications with the homeland, which obviously is Beijing, etc., to try and stop the spying that's going on electronically around the world.